Thanks for checking out this movie review video. So this is for the 2021 release Prisoners of the Ghostland, and this is a Shudder exclusive coming to Shudder on Friday, November 19th. Yes, this is a Nicolas Cage film, so if you're looking for Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage and delivering lines in his Nicolas Cage manner, doing fun things and being fun as Nicolas Cage, this may be the film for you. Now, if you're looking for a film that is very coherent, script-wise, and has a good story to it, a rich story, this is not going to be the film for you necessarily. But does it look good? Yes, it looks very good. And that leads me into who directed this film. Sion Sono directed this film. Now, if that name sounds familiar but you can't connect it, he has done Suicide Squad, which I know him most for. I have it in my collection over here, which I should rewatch that and do a review on. Now, if you're familiar with Sion Sono's style, at least from something like Suicide Squad, there's a lot of kind of surreal stuff that works its way into the film, and that's definitely a play within this movie. Apparently, this movie had a hard time finding a studio to take it on because, well, you'll see what I mean when you watch it. It's kind of erratic. The script is erratic. It's kind of all over the place. You don't really know what it's trying to be. And studios are very scared by scripts like that because they want to be able to market it easily. Be like, okay, this is a thriller. Okay, this is a horror film. Okay, this is a rom-com. Like, they know how to market that stuff. They don't know how to market something like this that's a little bit of a lot of things and also is just kind of erratic. One of the other things that I think factors into this being passed on a lot is the script kind of sucks, in my opinion. I don't really like the script, but the execution is done pretty well. One of the main components of that being what Sono did directorially. It looks outstanding. So, like, great directing, great cinematography. There is good acting to it as well for the most part. Nick Cage is being Nick Cage, and there's some other people involved as well, but let me go back to sidetrack. Sion Sono, not really sidetrack because it's still about this, but in addition to doing Suicide Club, some other films that Sono did, Noriko's Dinner Table, Cold Fish, Why Don't You Play in Hell, and Tokyo Vampire Hotel. That's just a few of them. This one was written by Aaron Hendry and Reza Sixo Safai. Now, Safai's had scripts for Sabotage and The Persian Connection. Not familiar with those, but like I said, they had a hard time finding someone to pick this up for the reasons, my postulation on the reasons that being. So obviously it stars Nicolas Cage, who is a delight being Nicolas Cage. Also, Bill Moseley's in it, so if you're a big Bill Moseley fan, you'll probably be very excited. I think he's okay in this. It seems like he's giving like a little bit of a version of Otis from The Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses and Three from Hell. Um, I'm not huge on Bill Moseley's acting, but if you're a Bill Moseley fan, it's Bill Moseley, and you'll really enjoy him. So, just saying. And then there was another individual in this who, like, I saw this face, and I'm like, that guy looks so familiar to me right now. And then it clicked. He's from the movie Versus. Yes, it's Tak Sakaguchi, who's been in, and I'm gonna list these, and every single one of the films that Sakaguchi has been in that I'm listing, I own, and probably should go back and rewatch now, because I really enjoy his acting. He was in Versus, Origami, Battlefield Baseball, The Great Horror Family, Death Trance, Tokyo Gore Police, and Mutant Girls Squad. Some really fun stuff right there. So it was great to see Sakaguchi in this, and he did an excellent job, in my opinion. Obviously, he brings some samurai aspect to it, because he does that within a lot of his films, or at least that I'm aware of. Once again, coming to Shudder on Friday, November 19th. I will not be giving spoilers in this because of that. I probably should have said that at the very beginning. No spoilers in this because it's a newer film and because I'm putting this review out ahead of its release. Now, apparently, Sono stated that while working on this film, Nick Cage was the easiest actor he's ever worked with. I've heard that from other directors about Nick Cage, that Nick Cage is a dream to work with. He's not complicated. He doesn't demand a lot. He's like a simple guy. He shows up, he's professional, and he does his job. So, Sono, echoing that. The film apparently was supposed to initially be shot in Mexico, but ended up getting moved to Japan because Sono had a heart attack, which actually delayed the production even getting started with filming in the first place. So in order to accommodate Sono more and keep him closer to his family, doctors, all that stuff. They moved it to Japan. I like the setting. I think they did a good job with locations and set design and costuming as well. Um, Nicolas Cage apparently has considered this his craziest film. That was apparently per him. So that may say a lot to you about it. In some ways, I think Mandy's crazier, but I think conceptually and like erratic wise, this one probably is crazier. So yeah. Quick synopsis. Basically, Nick Cage plays a criminal who is given the opportunity to do something else with his life by finding the daughter of the governor, who's played by Bill Moseley, who wants his daughter back. And there's something behind that, which you'll see at the end of the film. But he's giving them the opportunity to go out there, get her back, do something good, and I think free him at that point. But there's something he puts in place to make sure that he doesn't just disappear. And I'm not going to ruin what that is because it's one of the more interesting aspects of the film, and it does get used. You'll see what I mean. Just check it out. It immediately looks outstanding. They have wonderful color choices. The cinematography is super slick, very good directing to it. It looks great. It looks great. It is a mix of English and Japanese, so for that reason, when there's Japanese, there are actually subtitles. I always want to give that information to people. I don't have a problem with subtitles. I watch a lot of subtitled films, but I know there are people who do have problems, especially people who, may have vision impairment or people who have issues like my mother who can't watch subtitled films because it gives her migraine issues. So I always want to make that known. But there's not it's a decent amount of subtitled in there, but it's not crazy. There's a lot mashed together in this film, like I was talking about. It feels like feudal Japan, American Western, and apocalyptic society all mixed into one. It's just like whirled up in a blender for the most part. I mean, there are echoes of so many films when I was watching this that I was just like, oh, it feels like so much thrown into one. Like, I saw like a slight glimpse of like a Big Trouble in Little China. I saw a slight glimpse of something like Sukiyaki Western Django by Quentin Tarantino. I saw a little bit of like a Mad Max. I saw a little bit of something like Versus. It's all over the place. Like it's legitimately all over the place. It's not nearly. I mean, all those movies that I named that I saw little pieces of, I like a lot more than this film. I will say that. But this film is interesting. I'll say that. There is a lot to this film that is actually just downright wacky. It's just wacky. And you're just like, okay. Like, I think you just have to accept it. And I think a lot of people going into it probably would, because what Nicolas Cage has been doing a lot lately is doing these kind of just like wacky, fun movies. And I think this would fit into that category. I'm not a huge fan of this film. I was okay with it. But I know there are going to be people out there who are like, love it, it's awesome. I would rather watch, if we're talking about Nick Cage films, I'd rather watch Willy's Wonderland. Because that one was a lot of fun for me. I really enjoyed that one. Which I have a review of it on my channel you can check out. There are a bunch of surreal flashbacks and dream sequences. Unfortunately, some of these, almost all of them, just go too long. And in general, that leads me to another thing. This film is too long. With credits, it's like 1 hour and 47 minutes. That is way, 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 way too long for a script that is as simple and meandering as this one is. They padded it out too much. I don't think it was like an intentional padding of it, but it really needed to be edited down, in my opinion. I mean, it could have stood to lose 25 minutes, maybe more. That gives you an idea of how light the actual story is to the film. It's mainly about Nick Cage and some gore gags and some fighting and good visuals and just being weird. I mean, that's what it's about. There is an interesting explanation of how the world in this film got to be the way it is, but for some reason it's accompanied by dance moves. Weird. This is, like I'm saying, wacky, weird stuff that ends up happening in this film. I like the explanation. Like I said, it was a very interesting explanation for how the world ended up the way it was. So I really appreciated that as like some decent backstory. But like the dance moves to go along with it were more distracting than anything, in my opinion. So I actually did find it a little bit hard to really focus on taking in that information about what the backstory is. Just saying. You do get some solid gore gags. Not as many as I would have liked, to be honest, but you get a few. You get a few. I think they should have gone a lot bigger on the gore. That would have made me more happy. Character development, character development isn't really a thing in this film, which keeps you from really caring about anyone in it. So that's one of the biggest downfalls to the writing not being so great. The characters are paper thin. They don't develop for the most part, and that makes it hard to like sympathize with a character, to get to know them, to feel like you're invested, to like see them as like a legitimate human being with feelings that you want to see come out on the other end. Although I'm sure some people will just naturally gravitate to Nicolas Cage's character because Nick Cage. Just saying. I say just saying a good amount, don't I? Just saying. Like I was saying, the script is a meandering mess. I really don't like the script. I think it was bad. I think that's probably a large portion of why a lot of studios passed on it. Just saying. And it's definitely too long, like I was saying before. The final thing I want to leave you with, my favorite thing about the film. This is a very small thing, but I think, and this is going to sound dumb, I think everyone should see this film because of this line. Because if you like Nick Cage and you like how he has like weird ways of delivering lines, this is the line. This is the line you need to be hearing. He yells the word testicle at one point. The way he does it, I was like, yes, 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 yes. I'm all in for this. I think I may actually just go back and like rewatch that a few times because it is joyous and hilarious at the same time. I really did enjoy that. Nick Cage yelling testicle in a very interesting way. Anyway, I don't know if that's a bad statement about that being my favorite thing about the film. I think it kind of means it's not that great of a film. But out of 5 stars with half stars in play, I'm going to give it 2.5. The ending was decent enough for me to bump it up to half. I was initially going to give it a 2 because it was kind of slow paced and just, like I said, kind of all over the place and not that interesting of a story. But then the ending was okay. The ending had a good amount of action. It was kind of fun. So I was like, I'm going to put it at 2.5. So 2.5 stars for Prisoners of the Ghostland. So I would love to hear what other people have to say about this. Once they've seen it, go ahead and put it in the comments. Do you agree with me? Do you greatly disagree with me? We can talk that out because I love to hear other opinions on these films. I'm very much open to it. And maybe there's something I missed that I should have liked even more. But, you know, in the end, this is just everyone's opinion. And it's cool that we all have different opinions. So let's talk about it down here. Do me a quick favor, though. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. That's your way to repay me if you like this video or any video I have ever done. And it keeps me motivated. It costs you no money, is quick and painless, literally takes you a second to just click that, and I appreciate it. Also, hit the notification bell button if you can, and you can, because then you'll know when I'm putting up new videos, whether it's one of these, no spoiler videos for something new, or one of my spoiler-laden analysis videos for older films, or unboxing, or opinion videos, or, any of that stuff. But regardless, I really do thank you for taking your time to watch this video, and until next time, keep it brutal.